I don't remember.
Guys, just changing the subject away from this for a moment. And there's a couple of links in the papers. Kingsley Coleman, Mohamed Kudus at 100 million. A link to potential moves to Arsenal. We know Saka's going to be out for 2 to 3 months. Can you see any of these deals happening, or should it be Arsenal that take the initiative, bid the money, and just get it done, regardless of what the
how much did you say for
vendor
Kudus?
says? Kudus, West Ham have briefed the media saying it will cost 100 million to get him. There's other links to players like Kingsley Coleman and other attackers. But what do you think Arsenal will do, or what should they do in this January window?
The thing is, everyone knows, every single team knows Arsenal are crying out for a forward now. So the price has gone up 15, 20% regardless. I think Mohamed Kudus, the way he plays, would 100% be effective. I think he's another one that potentially could be at Liverpool in a couple of years as well. But £100 million mid-season, that's extortionate. They're looking at that Egyptian as well. Is it Mamouche from Frankfurt?
Mamouche, yeah.
He's a good player. Well, however you pronounce it, I'm
shut your mouth. Shut your mouth, Henry.
Yeah,
that's almost. What did you say the other day? What did you say the other day?
Oh, it was dilemma backwards.
Yeah, but what did you say? How did you say it?
Yeah, I didn't say dilemma.
You didn't say dilemma. No, you said dimella. You said that's a dimella.
Yeah, Eric Lamella dilemma. Anyway, I think that Kudus, there's no chance, absolutely no chance West Ham sell. Arsenal are not going to pay 100 million for him. Kingsley Coman now, his output, because that's what, you can bring a winger in, you can bring a forward in, but to replicate Salah's output, it's just not happening by a player that's going to be sold mid-season. Like everyone keeps talking about Isak. I said it earlier on a transfer video. There's no way Newcastle sell. If he's going to go, it's going to be in the summer. I think the one player that will be an Arsenal player come the end of January is going to be Marcus Rashford. I don't think Kingsley Coman leaves Bayern Munich for Arsenal and comes in and gets 15, 20 league goals. He's never done that in his career. He's not that sort of player. He didn't do that at Juve. He didn't do that at PSG. And he certainly has not got 20 league goals in a Bayern shirt. So the other one that I think they'll look at is Marcus Rashford, because he's available according to reports at 30, 40 million pounds, wants to apparently move to London, can play on the right-hand side. But I still don't think Rashford comes in and replicates the numbers. They need to bring in two players. They've got to bring in someone who can play on the left and the right, and either a number 9 or a midfielder that arrives late into the box and scores goals. Yeah. Because if you think Kingsley Coman's on 300,000 euros a week, he walks in as their third highest paid player. They're not playing that for a guy that when Saka comes back, sits on the bench.
Henry, you're missing the most important thing of it all, is that you want a player that's going to be playing every week. Kingsley Coman, if you look at his past 3 years.
Oh, yeah, he's made a glass.
He spent half the time injured. Why would you even look to bring in a player that you need to bank on? Because for me, personally, I know they've rumoured 2 or 3 months for Saka. I won't be surprised if it's longer. I won't be surprised if we don't see him until April. Because that type of injury, when you're having to have surgery, there's a process that has to be gone through that. You know, you could be looking at 4 or 5 months potentially for that type of injury, for the significance that it is. So you're looking for someone to be fit, to be available and ready. And I think you're right. Maybe one or two players. The most obvious one, and he's a player that I'd love at Newcastle United, but Brian and Bremer at Brentford.
Yeah, but they're apparently 80, 90 million as well.
You could get him significant.
No, what sort of money would, if they come up with like 60,
Gordon's just signed a 4-5-year deal. He's just signed a 4-5-year deal. There's no way you are getting Gordon anyway. But if you want, Lookman's maybe one that's.
Lookman can't happen. Atalanta are in a title race for the first. Well, they could win the league for the first time in their history. Yeah. I think they stick with him. Do you know, I want to listen. I think Rashford is a definite possibility. A few weeks ago, when he fell out with United, I felt that it was going to go one or two ways. He was going to go at the end of the season, but we get a really good Rashford for the rest of the campaign. Said that if he doesn't start playing, though, that tells me he's going in January. I think he could go, but he's going to cost 30 to 40 million, and he's going to get paid 250, 300 grand a week. It's going to happen. I still feel like you could get Kudus on 150 grand a week. And I'm talking salary here, okay? and salary over a 5-year period, yes, it's £100 million bid. This is a club, and this is where I look at Arsenal fans and say, "We'll try it." They bid £80 million 2 Januaries ago for Caicedo. I think if you're willing to bid £80 million for a CDM, if you have the money to do that, yes, 100 million, I think, slightly overpriced, but let's not lie. Man, even last night against Liverpool, he was the only player, and he was doing it all himself. I would love to see Kudus. I don't really want to see him at a rival in a good system where he's got quality around him. I think this man could be a genuine, bona fide difference maker for Arsenal. So if I just remove the bias again, and I don't want them to do well, but he can come and cover for Saka on the right-hand side. When Saka returns, he can go on the left because he's better than what they've got there. His biggest strength is through the centre. I know you've got Odegaard that plays there, but he can also kind of play as a number 9 as well. And he does all those roles to a very, very high standard. For me, if you're going to get charged 80 million for Mbeumo, if you're going to get charged 40 million plus 300 plus £1,000 a week for Rashford, where there's no guarantees it's going to work because of the way his head's in, I feel like the Kudus deal is expensive, but I feel like it's the lowest risk.
That's the best for me.
But I feel it's the lowest risk because I actually think you can put him on a salary where even if he flops, you could probably sell him for 50, 60 million in a year or two. The others, say they buy Rashford for 40 million, 300 grand a week, and he stinks a house out. How are you moving him on then?
But sorry, here's the thing.
I would go for Kudus if I was there.
Okay, so is Rashford still in the position to demand 300 grand a week? Is he still in that position? Because I think that he's now in a position where, like, as the saying goes, beggars can't be choosers. If you've been told that you're not part of our squad, we want you sold in January, and I'm saying, well, my name is Marcus Rashford and I am still worth 300 grand. No, you're not.
I think this is the thing. I think everyone coming in for him in the summer has more of an argument. I think if Arsenal come knocking on the door, we've always loved you, we've always wanted you, we've always thought you were amazing, we can get you. If you tell, you've got to look at it from Rashford's perspective and his people. If they're saying, fuck United, we've always known you were brilliant, then his team are going to say, well, then you'll pay us what they did then because you thought we were brilliant. If you're telling Rashford as a buying club, we know you're amazing, we can get all those goals and assists out of you that we had 2 years ago, why would his team then say, okay, we'll come for 150 grand a week? Because you're saying that he's that player. You're saying it. Look how much money Kai Havertz is on at Arsenal. He's on a lot of money. Why? Because Arsenal went and said, we think Chelsea are holding you back. We can get you back to your best when you were a massively hyped player with a lot of people around you. That's the issue when you go for a player like Rashford this early after he's fallen out of his club. You are only going to get him by telling him you are that superstar. But you can't tell someone they're a superstar and then pay them middle of the road average money at your. Do you get where I'm coming from? So I hear your point. I view it the way you do. But if you're the agent of him and you're the player, you wouldn't have that. You know, it's like, imagine you're struggling at work and you're on 50 grand a year, and then a rival company comes along saying, we've seen your talent, we think they're holding you back, we think you're amazing, can you come work for us? Oh, great. What you offer me a salary? 35 grand a year. You'd say, hang on, you can't think I'm that superb if you want me to take a pay cut. So I think that's the risk with Rashford. He's going to be really expensive. He's going to do a 5-year deal. I feel like with Kudus, you get him on a lower amount of wages, higher fee up front. I feel like he's a player that hasn't even reached his pomp. He's younger. I just feel like 100 million on a Kudus. By the way, I don't think Arsenal are going to do it. I'm talking about what would be better. I feel like it's a much less of a risk than Rashford, or even someone like Lookman, who's been amazing. Coming back to the Prem after it's not worked at 2 or 3 other Premier League clubs, that's a massive risk. I just feel like Kudus, he can do it in the Prem. He's got technique, scores, speed, power, athleticism. I don't think he's going to demand stupid level of wages. I feel like they should be knocking on West Ham. I think they should be calling West Ham's bluff and saying, I'd start off and go, there's 85. Let's see what the player's head does. Let's see if the player's head turns as an example. That's what I would do anyway, but yeah.
Do you think Kudus would be a better signing for Arsenal than Cunha? Because I look at Cunha, if Wolves are if they're still down in the relegation zone, and you've got the report is 60 million for a player that's got double digits in goals this season and last season.
Yeah, I think
Kudus is better. I think Kudus is better.
See, I think the other one. I think
I think he's a better player and he's a better choice. I think if you just look at, for me, I just remember Kudus. Go ask any Ghanaian. He's literally carrying that Ghanaian team. He's the best player for Ghana. Look at West Ham. He's carrying that whole team. And if you put a guy with that kind of ability, especially with how Arsenal play, and a guy who is a difference maker and is really good in ISO situations, I think once you look at the overall package, and also I feel his ceiling is much higher than Cunha's ceiling. So he's not even anywhere near his potential, which I think could be huge. So it's if Arsenal wants to do it, but it would be worth going crazy for 85-90 to get Kudus. It makes more sense.
Also, Arsenal don't want to end up in a situation where, like when they should have got Caicedo, they don't do it, and then they lose the league title by a handful of points.
Yeah, and that
player is the difference.
And I just did the maths on Rashford and Kudus, right? So if they doubled Kudus, if they paid the 100 million and they doubled his wages over 5 years, it'd cost them 139 million. Rashford on 300 grand a week, so a slight pay cut, and a 40 million pound price tag over 5 years is 118 million. So Rashford is cheaper by around 20 million, but that 20 million, the 20 million differential over 5 years, put your hand on your heart, gents. You going with a Rashford option or a more expensive option of Kudus by 20 million? There's 20 million difference in the total cost of those players. Is the extra 20 million on Mohamed Kudus worth it versus Marcus Rashford, in your opinions?
1,000%.
You're signing Kudus, aren't you? Out of the two. He's on 90k a week. So they could quite easily put him on 140, 150, 160, like you said, and definitely save money. But like we said at the beginning, they're not paying £100 million. And with the whole Declan Rice thing where it dragged out and they eventually had to pay the original asking price, you don't have that amount of time in January. I look at Cunha. I know Cunha got injured yesterday against us, but Buemo must be sitting there. If they call Brentford's bluff and say, look, there's 70 million for Buemo, I like Kudus, but I just think the output is what they're crying out for. Who in that front line right now is going to score 15, 20 league goals?
Yeah, 70 mil for Buemo is extortionate, though.
Yeah, but is
Buemo going to get better? I don't think so.
And Buemo was linked more to around sort of 40, 50 million. Which seems more of a realistic.
Yeah, and whatever the clubs are briefing they want, I look at it the other way. I think take 10 to 20% off what they actually get in the end. Because even with Rice, when they got 100 million, I remember initially reading reports about 150 million. That, Chelsea did it. I mean, they end up, no matter how much we paid, it's been a bad deal. But initially, they wanted about 30 million more than what we ended up paying for Mount. And clubs always start off up here and their real price is maybe a little bit lower. I don't think Newcastle honestly think they're going to get 150 million pound for Isak. But they're going to say that because if they said it was 100 million, they might end up selling him for 80. You say 150, you might get 100, 105, 110. You always want more. But I do think Arsenal this January, I don't like using phrases like if they're a serious club, they'll do it, just because it's just such a dry and overused expression now. But if they go through the month and they don't really... I mean, I've heard they're calling back Fabio Vieira. If I was a Gooner, I'd be so disappointed if Fabio Vieira being recalled is all they did. I know that there is all this talk about don't mess your plans up. You know, they might have something massive planned for the summer. Maybe they're saving that money for Isak as an example and they want to wait. And I do get it. At the same time, if over the next few weeks, Liverpool do drop a few points, and I know they don't look like they're going to, and Arsenal close that gap, and they just don't quite have enough firepower, they could kick themselves, And I think there are players available in January. You've just got to be willing to pay the money. I don't think Arsenal have any FFP or PSR problems whatsoever. Yeah, I think they've got to go and do it. And Kudus, it comes up top of the list for me. And a few people in the comments said, Terry, would you take Kudus at United? Yeah, tomorrow. I've actually started a career mode on FIFA. And I've sold a lot of players in the current squad. Even though it was the first, I even got rid of Xerxes before he kicked the ball for us, to be honest. I did a part exchange with West Ham, actually. They took Xerxes and 10 million, and I got Kudus. Who did I sign? I signed Cole Palmer, right? Signed Kudus. I went and got Palmer, right? No, they're not biased. I bought Palmer, Kudus. I bought Eucharist up front. I've kept Hoyland on the bench for his speed. I signed Belieber He's not that good on the game, but he's got this. I like the legs, right? I like fast players. I signed Archie Gray. I signed.
He's playing centre back for you.
He's played DM and centre back so far. I signed Kirkez. Who else did I go and get?
How much money have you got? Oh my God.
Well, no, because what I did is I sold. It's FIFA, so I did. I think I gave an injection of 100 million. But people, when I put Rashford and Bruno and all those types of players on the transfer window, everyone was willing to offer me loads of money. So they're raising all this cash. And in fairness, right, I got Mohamed Kudus for like 47 million. You can buy him really cheap. I don't feel like I like FIFA as gameplay. It's fun. But the buying of players I thought was ridiculous. So I bought them. I bought a few others and I forgot who else I bought. I bought the young winger at Southampton.
Dibbling.
Yeah, I bought him. And
he's only like 18 as well. He's
18, yeah. There's a couple of young players I bought as well. So that's who I went with. And yeah, I feel like I'm just going to rebuild Man United myself on a computer game because, you know, we started all right. We won the opening game of the season. Then we drew the next 3 matches, a bit leaky at the back. And then I'm working out the controls as well. Because 3 goals I conceded, 3 games running. I won the ball in the tackle, but I didn't think I was going to win the tackle. So I pressed tackle again. But by the time I pressed it again, I'd won the ball and then I booted it and it landed at an opponent and they just run straight through on goal. It's annoying. I hit the wrong button, but I'll get there. Long time since I played, long time, and I'm doing back because I ain't played for like 15 years properly. I'm playing on. I started on professional, and last night I moved on to world class because I won 3 games like 4-0, and I just can't be bothered. It's boring if you know when I was like that was a bit easy, so I put it onto world class. I played 1 game at world class and I drew 1-1. I was like, oh, I had to sit forward on my chair. I couldn't sit back anymore. I had to move
jump
forward.
From like world class to legendary as well is like huge.
Yeah, I'm nowhere near that level, bruv. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not a geek like you lot, but there we go.